So it was so funny with the Buffalo Bills coming into this season, where you trade Stephon Diggs to the Houston Texans after, of course, another disappointing playoff exit at the hands of the Kansas City Chiefs. You move on from guys, what's the kid's name? Micah Hyde. Other guys that are, obviously not with the Buffalo Bills roster in terms of their defense, losing some defensive pieces. Von Miller's getting up there in age, and we have some concerns about Josh Allen. He's got a turnover problem. Is Joe Brady going to be able to replicate what he did last year? And bam, 3-0 and look unstoppable, right? They eke out a close win against the Cardinals, who are a frisky team. Marvin Harrison Jr. did virtually nothing that day, and the Cardinals almost beat Buffalo in Buffalo. Then what they do, they go on the road in a short week to Miami, and that's obviously the Tua gets concussed game, but Tua got concussed when the Buffalo Bills were up 3 touchdowns. The game was out of reach at that point. Going to a team that made the playoffs last year, division rival, those 10 games tend to be close, and smoked them. And then last night, against a desperate 0-2 Jacksonville Jaguars team, at home in Buffalo, Josh Allen is nothing short of spectacular against the Jacksonville Jaguars. We'll show you how this sort of start he has parallels to what he's done in years past. Josh Allen, though, against the Jacksonville Jaguars on Monday Night Football, okay? 23 of 30, 263 passing yards. He had 44 rushing yards, by the way. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 touchdowns through the air. He had a pass rating of 142, and a QBR 0-100 of 98. Can't do a whole heck of a lot better than that if you're Josh Allen. But here's what I kept thinking when I was watching the Buffalo Bills, because this is a team that, despite some of the hesitancy to believe in them in this season by a lot of prognosticators and otherwise for this 2024 NFL season, I thought this was not only a playoff team, I thought this team was going to win the AFC East for reasons that I'm about to detail. And the numbers sort of show what I'm talking about here. So Buffalo being 3-0, you hear a lot of folks saying, well, I mean, they always get off to a hot start, be it 3-0, 3-1, 2, whatever the case may be. Buffalo gets out the gates, and they're flying. They oftentimes, once we get to the end of September, once we're going into week 5, a lot of folks are like, hey, Bills, best team in the NFL. And you could certainly make that case as we sit here today right now. But that's not what I want to talk about, because that's common. We can show you what Josh Allen has done in weeks 1 to 3, going back to the 2020 season. So this is a 5-season sample size, so pretty big. What Josh Allen has done from 20 to 23 in weeks 1 through 3, and what he's done the first 3 weeks this year. We can go ahead and show you those numbers. All stats provided by StatMuse, all graphics provided by my man Alfred Parsard Jr. Josh Allen, 298 yards passing in weeks 1 through 3 from 2020 to 2023. About 7.7 pass touchdowns through the first 3 games, about 2 picks, 69.5 completion percentage, and a pass rating of 105. Compare that to 2024. Okay, weeks 1 through 3, from 20 to 23, Josh Allen, 298 passing yards. This year, only 211, down precipitously from the last 4 seasons prior to this one. 7.7 passing touchdowns on average at this point in the season. He's got about 7, slightly down. But notice this. In the quote-unquote efficiency stats, interceptions, Josh has 0. Completion percentage, he tends to get out the gates with a 69% completion. He's got a 75% completion percentage through the first part of this year. And the pass rating was very, very good. Matter of fact, excellent through the first few games, the last few seasons for Josh at 105. It's now skyrocketed to 133. Now, why is that? It's the very reason I believe in the Buffalo Bills, because we know how great Josh Allen is. That goes without saying. He is no lower than third or fourth best quarterback in the NFL. We knew how great he was. This Bills defense is younger. It is, dare I say, somewhat more talented than the defenses in years past. Maybe it doesn't have the big names, but are they more technically sound than they've been in years past? Sure looks like it through the first 3 games. After that Arizona Cardinals, sort of hiccup, only giving up 20 points, not on average, only giving up 20 points in totality the last 2 games they played against the Dolphins and against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Not only that, but part of the reason I believe in the Buffalo Bills is because I believe that they were going to shift to a style of offense that is more conducive to winning in today's NFL. Stephon Diggs, even today, would be the best receiver still in the Buffalo Bills. I don't think there's any question about that. Respect to Khalil Shakir, respect to these other guys, Diggs would be the best guy. But when you had, and Josh Allen has been, I mean, not subtle in some of the shots he's taken at Stephon Diggs. He had a quote after the game where he said, basically, it's nice to have a group of guys where we don't care about our stats. That is a dig at Diggs, if you will. Okay? But what you do now, I've often joked about this. I would take the Tennessee Titans receiving core over the Dallas Cowboys receiving core. Like, that's the example I give. CeeDee Lamb is way better, respect to D-Hop, but way better than anybody in the Tennessee Titans. But virtually everybody in the Titans, Hopkins, Ridley, and Boyd, are better than anybody Dallas has after Lamb. Having a number one receiver is great. Like, you'd love to be in a situation where, when healthy, the LA Rams, right, got Cooper Kupp, they got Puka Nacua, two bona fide number one guys. But the reality is that's usually not the case. You'd like to have an A- at worst guy, A- B+ at worst number one, and a bunch of B players after that, B wide receivers after that, dudes you could spread the ball around to. And that's what the Bills have. Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman caught his first touchdown of his NFL career. Dalton Kincaid, who you know I loved out of Utah in a couple of drafts ago. You got Dawson Knox. You got, like, Josh still has weapons. And Josh has the best running game that he's ever had in his career with James Cook, who already has more touchdowns this year than he had a year ago. It's the best offensive line. I mean, how many times watching that game against the Jaguars, and listen, I get it. Jacksonville doesn't have a very good defense. Listen, I picked the Jags to go to the playoffs this year. I'll to a certain degree, take my medicine on Trevor in a few minutes. But that aside, I mean, Josh Allen had all day to throw Monday Night Football. Now, that's not necessarily always going to be the case, but even if it's not, Josh Allen's the best running quarterback in the NFL this side of Lamar Jackson and Jaden Daniels. I mean, he can move as well as anybody, right? Inside the pocket, outside the pocket. We know Josh can make the throws, but there's always a sense of like, Josh will always make, I've always said about Josh Allen, he's the ultimate WTF player. Like, he will make a play that you're like, WTF, ain't no human in the world that can do what that guy just did. And then he'll make the WTF play. We're like, what the heck was this guy trying? There's no positive in the play. Hurdling a linebacker on 3rd and 11 when you're going to get tackled for short of a first down. Like, that's plays like that. But is there a chance? And I'm not saying this is the case, by the way. I want to be abundantly clear. Abundantly clear, because we only have 3 games of data. But is there a chance, with the support of his running game, with a wide receiving core where he does not have, feel pressured to force feed the ball to one guy, where he could spread the football around and be efficient, no interceptions, completion percentage at 75%, passer rating skyrocket, over 130. Is it possible? And obviously Joe Brady is the new OC, who we knew, took over last year as the interim, that this might be a new Josh Allen. He'll make mistakes because they all make mistakes, of course. He'll probably throw double-digit interceptions because quarterbacks who take big risks, that's usually what they do. I mean, C.J. Stroud only throwing 4 last year is pretty incredible as a rookie. Let me ask you a question. You want to take a guess at which quarterback in the NFL has the longest active streak, going back to the playoffs, the longest active streak in the NFL without an interception? Josh Allen. 169 throws, 0 picks. Like, that is, given his previous history, that I never thought in my life on this show. Yeah, I've said that about Aaron Rodgers. I've said that about Brady. I've said that about Dak and Mahomes, like guys who don't turn the football over. CJ Stroud, like dudes who just don't throw interceptions. Josh hasn't turned the ball over because he's been more efficient. He's got support from his run game. The defense is still good. Sean McDermott, for some of his limitations as a head coach, he's great with the defense. Ask Carolina Panthers fans the year after he left. The defense went into the cellar there in Carolina. It hasn't really recovered since. So, listen, I'm not saying that the Buffalo Bills are, I mean, you're going to see Bryce's best 10 a little bit later in the show. Like, I'll give my rankings for all the teams in the NFL. But this today, we actually had this question last night in the 8 o'clock spot, which returned for season 2. Shout out to all the guys that did it. I think this is the biggest threat to Kansas City right now in the AFC. And we talk about, can Josh Allen, can the Bills finally get over the hump against the Chiefs? I don't know if they will. My leaning will say probably not, because I'm always going to bet on the dynasty, Mahomes and Andy Reid. This is the best chance to, though. I mean, we'll see. I mean, a lot of it's going to depend on who gets the home game. But then again, the closest Josh Allen came to beating Mahomes was at Arrowhead Stadium. So he's not scared of that environment. We know that. But again, it is at the very least on the board, and I'm not saying this is the case, I want to be abundantly clear that this might be a brand new Josh Allen. And if so, look the heck out for the Buffalo Bills. I could not believe coming into the season in the AFC, the discussion was, hey, the Dolphins with all their weapons, or the Jets with Rodgers coming back. I'm like, or the team that's won the division 4 years in a row with by far the best quarterback in the division and a brand new offensive philosophy with a brilliant offensive mind in Joe Brady. Buffalo's going to be scary. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.